Economic planning. 14 languages. Economic planning is a resource allocation mechanism based on a computational procedure for solving a constrained maximization problem with an iterative process for obtaining its solution. Planning is a mechanism for the allocation of resources between and within organizations, contrasted with the market mechanism. As an allocation mechanism for socialism, economic planning replaces factor markets with a procedure for direct allocations of resources within an interconnected group of socially owned organizations which together comprise the productive apparatus of the economy. 1. 2. There are various forms of economic planning that vary based on their specific procedures and approach. The level of centralization or decentralization in decision-making depends on the specific type of planning mechanism employed. In addition, one can distinguish between centralized planning and decentralized planning. 3. An economy primarily based on planning is referred to as a planned economy. In a centrally planned economy, the allocation of resources is determined by a comprehensive plan of production which specifies output requirements. 4. Planning can also take the form of indicative planning within a market-based economy, where the state employs market instruments to induce independent firms to achieve development goals. 5. A distinction can be made between physical planning, as in pure socialism, and financial planning, as practiced by governments and private firms in capitalism. Physical planning involves economic planning and coordination conducted in terms of disaggregated physical units, whereas financial planning involves plans formulated in terms of financial units. 6. In socialism, edit. See also, socialist economics. Problems donating. Other ways to give frequently asked questions. We never sell your information. By submitting, you are agreeing to our donor privacy policy. The Wikimedia Foundation is a non-profit, tax-exempt organization. If you make a recurring donation, you will be debited by the Wikimedia Foundation until you notify us to stop. We'll send you an email, which will include a link to easy cancellation instructions. I already donated. How often would you like to donate? One time give monthly. Please select an amount, USD. The average donation in the United States is around $13. $2.75, $10, $15. $25, $50, $75, $100 other. Please select a payment method. Bank transfer, ACH. Maybe later. 1. Suzo RCN. 2. 3. Continue. Wikipedia still can't be sold. September the 5th. An important update for readers in the United States. Today is the day. Please don't skip this 1-minute read. We're sorry to interrupt, but it's Thursday, September the 5th, and this message will only be up for a few hours. We ask you to read on the number of times you visited Wikipedia in the past year, and if you're able to give $2.75 to the Wikimedia Foundation. If everyone reading this gave just $2.75, we'd hit our goal in a few hours. In the age of AI, access to variable facts is crucial. Wikipedia is at the heart of online information, powering everything from your personal searches to emerging AI technologies. Your gift strengthens the knowledge of today and tomorrow. Just 2% of our readers donate, so if you have given in the past and Wikipedia still provides you with $2.75 worth of knowledge. Kindly donate today. If you are undecided, remember that any contribution helps, whether it's $2.75 or $25. Proud host of Wikipedia and its sister sites. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Albert Einstein advocated for a socialist planned economy with his 1949 article Why Socialism. Different forms of economic planning have been featured in various models of socialism. These range from decentralized planning systems which are based on collective decision-making and disaggregated information to centralized systems of planning conducted by technical experts who use aggregated information to formulate plans of production. In a fully developed socialist economy, engineers and technical specialists, overseen or appointed in a democratic manner, would coordinate the economy in terms of physical units without any need or use for financial-based calculation. The economy of the Soviet Union never reached this stage of development, so planned its economy in financial terms throughout the duration of its existence. 7. Nonetheless, a number of alternative metrics were developed for assessing the performance of non-financial economies in terms of physical output, i.e. net material product versus gross domestic product. In general, the various models of socialist economic planning such as a socialist mode of production exist as theoretical constructs that have not been implemented fully by any economy, partially because they depend on vast changes on a global scale. In the context of mainstream economics and the field of comparative economic systems, socialist planning usually refers to the Soviet-style command economy, regardless of whether or not this economic system actually constituted a type of socialism or state capitalism or a third, non-socialist and non-capitalist type of system. In some models of socialism, economic planning completely substitutes the market mechanism, supposedly rendering monetary relations and the price system obsolete. In other models, planning is utilized as a complement to markets. Concept of socialist planning, edit. The classical conception of socialist economic planning held by Marxists involved an economic system where goods and services were valued, demanded and produced directly for their use value as opposed to being produced as a byproduct of the pursuit of profit by business enterprises. This idea of production for use is a fundamental aspect of a socialist economy. This involves social control over the allocation of the surplus product and in its most extensive theoretical form, calculation in kind in place of financial calculation. For Marxists in particular, planning entails control of the surplus product profit by the associated producers in a democratic manner. 8. This differs from planning within the framework of capitalism, which is based on the planned accumulation of capital in order to either stabilize the business cycle, when undertaken by governments, or to maximize profits, when undertaken by firms, as opposed to the socialist concept of planned production for use. In such a socialist society based on economic planning, the primary function of the state apparatus changes from one of political rule over people, via the creation and enforcement of laws, into a technical administration of production, distribution and organization. That is, the state would become a coordinating economic entity rather than a mechanism of political and class-based control and thereby ceasing to be a state in the Marxist sense. 9. In the May 1949 issue of the monthly review titled Why Socialism, Albert Einstein wrote, 10. I am convinced there is only one way to eliminate the grave evils of capitalism, namely through the establishment of a socialist economy, accompanied by an educational system which would be oriented toward social goals. In such an economy, the means of production are owned by society itself and are utilized in a planned fashion. A planned economy, which adjusts production to the needs of the community, would distribute the work to be done among all those able to work and would guarantee a livelihood to every man, woman, and child. The education of the individual, in addition to promoting his own innate abilities, would attempt to develop in him a sense of responsibility for his fellow men in place of the glorification of power and success in our present society. Administrative Command System, edit. Main article, Administrative Command System. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. The concept of a command economy is differentiated from the concepts of a planned economy and economic planning, especially by socialists and Marxists who liken command economies, such as that of the former Soviet Union, to that of a single capitalist firm, organized in a top-down administrative fashion based on bureaucratic organization akin to that of a capitalist corporation. Citation needed. Economic analysts have argued that the economy of the Soviet Union actually represented an administrative or command economy as opposed to a planned economy because planning did not play an operational role in the allocation of resources among productive units in the economy, since in actuality the main allocation mechanism was a system of command and control. The term administrative command economy gained currency as a more accurate descriptor of Soviet-type economies. 11. Decentralized planning, edit. See also, decentralized planning, economics. Decentralized economic planning is a planning process that starts at the user level in a bottom-up flow of information. Decentralized planning often appears as a complement to the idea of socialist self-management, most notably by democratic socialists and libertarian socialists. The theoretical postulates for models of decentralized socialist planning stem from the thought of Karl Kautsky, Rosa Luxemburg, Nikolai Bukharin and Oskar R. Lang. 12. This model involves economic decision-making based on self-governance from the bottom up, by employees and consumers, without any directing central authority. This often contrasts with the doctrine of orthodox Marxism-Leninism, which advocates directive administrative planning where directives are passed down from higher authorities, planning agencies, to agents, enterprise managers, who in turn give orders to workers. Two contemporary models of decentralized planning are participatory economics, developed by the economist Michael Albert, and negotiated coordination, developed by the economist Pat Devine. Lang-Lerner-Taylor model, edit. See also, Lang model. The economic models developed in the 1920s and 1930s by American economists Fred M. Taylor and Abba Lerner and by Polish economist Oskar R. Lang involved a form of planning based on marginal cost pricing. In Lang's model, a central planning board would set prices for producer goods through a trial and error method, adjusting until the price matched the marginal cost, with the aim of achieving Pareto-efficient outcomes. Although these models were often described as market socialism, they actually represented a form of market simulation planning. Material balances, edit. Material balance planning was the type of economic planning employed by Soviet-type economies. This system emerged in a haphazard manner during the collectivization drive under Joseph Stalin and emphasized rapid growth and industrialization. Eventually, this method became an established part of the Soviet conception of socialism in the post-war period, and other socialist states emulated it in the latter half of the 20th century. Material balancing involves a planning agency taking a survey of available inputs and raw materials and using a balance sheet to balance them with output targets specified by industry, thereby achieving a balance of supply and demand. In the case of the Soviet Union, this task fell on Gosplan and its subsidiaries, the industrial ministries and, under Khrushchev, the regional Sovnakhozy. The ministries in turn were subdivided into chief industrial administrations, Glavki, under which each enterprise was finally subordinated. 13. In capitalism, edit. Intra-firm and intra-industry planning, edit. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. See also, enterprise resource planning. Large corporations use planning to allocate resources internally among their divisions and subsidiaries. Many modern firms also use regression analysis to measure market demand to adjust prices and to decide upon the optimal quantities of output to be supplied. Planned obsolescence is often cited as a form of economic planning that is used by large firms to increase demand for future products by deliberately limiting the operational lifespan of its products, thus forcing customers to buy replacements. The internal structures of corporations have therefore been described as centralized command economies that use both planning and hierarchical organization and management. According to J. Bradford DeLong, many transactions in Western economies do not pass through anything resembling a market, but rather they are actually movements of value among different branches and divisions within corporations, companies and agencies. Furthermore, much economic activity is centrally planned by managers within firms in the form of production planning and marketing management, that consumer demand is estimated, targeted and included in the firm's overall plan, and in the form of production planning. 14. In the new industrial state, the American economist John Kenneth Galbraith noted that large firms manage both prices and consumer demand for their products by sophisticated statistical methods. Galbraith also pointed out that because of the increasingly complex nature of technology and the specialization of knowledge, management had become increasingly specialized and bureaucratized. The internal structures of corporations and companies had been transformed into what he called a technostructure. Its specialized groups and committees are the primary decision makers, and specialized managers, directors and financial advisors operate under formal bureaucratic procedures, replacing the individual entrepreneur's role and intrapreneurship. Galbraith stated that both the obsolete notion of entrepreneurial capitalism and democratic socialism, defined as democratic management, are impossible organizational forms for managing a modern industrial system. 15. Joseph Schumpeter, an economist associated with both the Austrian School and the Institutional School of Economics, argued that the changing nature of economic activity, specifically the increasing bureaucratization and specialization required in production and management, was the major cause for capitalism eventually evolving into socialism. The role of The businessman was increasingly bureaucratic and specific functions within the firm required increasingly specialized knowledge which could be supplied as easily by state functionaries in publicly owned enterprises. In the first volume of Das Kapital, Karl Marx identified the process of capital accumulation as central to the law of motion of capitalism. The increased industrial capacity caused by the increasing returns to scale further socializes production. Capitalism eventually socializes labor and production to a point that the traditional notions of private ownership and commodity production become increasingly insufficient for further expanding the productive capacities of society. 16. Necessitating the emergence of a socialist economy in which means of production are socially owned and the surplus value is controlled by the workforce. 17. Many socialists viewed these tendencies, specifically the increasing trend toward economic planning in capitalist firms, as evidence of the increasing obsolescence of capitalism and inapplicability of ideals like perfect competition to the economy, with the next stage of evolution being the application of society-wide economic planning. State Development Planning, edit. See also, Developmental State and Industrial Policy. State development planning or national planning entails macroeconomic policies and financial planning conducted by governments to stabilize the market or promote economic growth in market-based economies. This involves the use of monetary policy, industrial policy and fiscal policy to steer the market toward targeted outcomes. Industrial policy includes government taking measures aimed at improving the competitiveness and capabilities of domestic firms and promoting structural transformation. 18. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Leon Trotsky was among the earliest Soviet figures that supported economic planning and decentralization. 19. But in contrast to socialist planning, state development planning does not replace the market mechanism and does not eliminate the use of money in production. It only applies to privately owned and publicly owned firms in the strategic sectors of the economy and seeks to coordinate their activities through indirect means and market-based incentives, such as tax breaks or subsidies. Around the World, edit. While economic planning is mainly associated with socialism and the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc, in particular its administrative command system, government planning of the economy can also happen under other political philosophies. To industrialize and modernize the economy. A different form of planned economy operated in India during the Permit Raj era from 1947 to 1990. The unusually large government sector in countries like Saudi Arabia means that even though there is a market, central government planning controls allocation of most economic resources. In the United States, the government temporarily seized large portions of the economy during World War I and World War II, resulting in a largely government-planned war economy. East Asia, edit. The development models of the East Asian tiger economies involved varying degrees of economic planning and state-directed investment in a model sometimes described as state development capitalism or the East Asian model. The economy in both Malaysia and South Korea were instituted by a series of macroeconomic government plans, first Malaysia Plan and 5-year plans of South Korea, that rapidly developed and industrialized their mixed economies. The economy of Singapore was partially based on government economic planning that involved an active industrial policy. and a mixture of state-owned industry and free market economy. France, edit. Under dirigism, France used indicative planning and established a number of state-owned enterprises in strategic sectors of the economy. The concept behind indicative planning is the early identification of oversupply, bottlenecks and shortages so that state investment behavior can be quickly modified to reduce market disequilibrium so that stable economic development and growth can be sustained. France experienced its Trente Glorieuses, 30 glorious years with economic prosperity. Soviet Union, edit. Main articles: Economy of the Soviet Union and Soviet-type economic planning. The Soviet Union was the first national economy to attempt economic planning as a substitute for factor market allocation. Soviet-type economic planning took form in the 1930s and largely remained unchanged despite mild reforms until the Soviet Union's dissolution. Soviet economic planning was centralized and organized hierarchically, with a state planning agency such as the Gosplan establishing target rates for growth and the Gosnab allocating factor inputs to enterprises and economic units throughout the national economy. The national plan was broken down by various ministries, which in turn used the plan to formulate directives for local economic units which implemented them. The system used material balance planning. Economic information, including consumer demand and enterprise resource requirements, were aggregated to balance supply from the available resource inventories, with demand based on requirements for individual economic units and enterprises through a system of iterations. 21. Leon Trotsky was one of the earliest proponents of economic planning during the NEP period. 19, 22, 23, Trotsky argued that specialization, the concentration of production and the use explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF opposed the Stalinist model. 20. Of planning could raise in the near future the coefficient of industrial growth not only 2, but even 3 times higher than the pre-war rate of 6% and, perhaps, even higher. 24. According to historian Sheila Fitzpatrick, the scholarly consensus was that Stalin appropriated the position of the left opposition on such matters as industrialization and collectivization. 25. The economy of the Soviet Union operated in a centralized and hierarchical manner during the Stalinist era. The process used directives which were issued to lower-level organizations. Thus, the Soviet economic model was often referred to as a command economy or an administered economy, as plan directives were enforced by inducements in a vertical power structure, with actual planning playing little functional role in the allocation of resources, owing to difficulties in transmitting information in a timely fashion and disseminating information on demand throughout the whole economy. Administrative mechanisms of decision-making and resource allocation played the dominant role in allocating factor inputs as opposed to planning. 11. Historian Robert Vincent Daniels regarded the Stalinist period to represent an abrupt break with Lenin's government in terms of economic planning, in which a deliberated, scientific system of planning that featured former Menshevik economists at Gosplan had been replaced with a hasty version of planning with unrealistic targets, bureaucratic waste, bottlenecks and shortages. Stalin's formulations of national plans in terms of physical quantity of output was also attributed by Daniels as a source for the stagnant levels of efficiency and quality. 26. United Kingdom, edit. The need for long-term economic planning to promote efficiency was a central component of Labour Party thinking until the 1970s. The Conservative Party largely agreed, producing the post-war consensus, namely the broad bipartisan agreement on major policies. 27. A long-term economic plan was a phrase often used in British politics. United States, edit. The United States used economic planning during World War I. The federal government supplemented the price system with centralized resource allocation and created a number of new agencies to direct important economic sectors, notably the Food Administration, Fuel Administration, Railroad Administration and War Industries Board. 28. During World War II, the economy experienced staggering growth under a similar system of planning. In the post-war period, United States governments utilized such measures as the Economic Stabilization Program to directly intervene in the economy to control prices and wages, among other things, in different economic sectors. Since the start of the Cold War, the federal government has directed a significant amount of investment and funding into research and development, R&D, often initially through the United States Department of Defense. The government performs 50% of all R&D in the United States, 29, with a dynamic state-directed public sector developing most of the technology that later becomes the basis of the private sector economy. Noam Chomsky has referred to the United States economic model as a form of state capitalism. 30. Examples include laser technology, the Internet, nanotechnology, telecommunications and computers, with most basic research and downstream commercialization financed by the public sector. That includes research in other fields including healthcare and energy, with 75% of most innovative drugs financed through the National Institutes of Health. 31. Criticism, edit. See also, economic calculation problem. The most notable critique of central economic planning came from Austrian economists Friedrich Hayek and Ludwig von Mises. Hayek argued that central planners could not possibly accrue the necessary information to formulate an effective plan for production because they are not exposed to the rapid changes that take place in an economy in any particular time. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF and place, and so they are unfamiliar with those circumstances. The process of transmitting all the necessary information to planners is thus inefficient without a price system for the means of production. 32. Mises also had a similar opinion. In his Analysis of Socialism in 1938, Oskar R. Lang addressed this theoretical issue by pointing out that planners could gain much of the information they required by monitoring changes in plant inventory levels. In practice, economic planners in Soviet-typed planned economies were able to make use of this technique. 33. Proponents of decentralized economic planning have also criticized central economic planning. Leon Trotsky believed that central planners, regardless of their intellectual capacity, operated without the input and participation of the millions of people who participate in the economy, and so they would be unable to respond to local conditions quickly enough to effectively coordinate all economic activity. 34. Trotsky further specified the need for Soviet democracy in relation to the industrialization period to the Dewey Commission. The successes are very important, and I affirmed it every time. They are due to the abolition of private property, and to the possibilities inherent in planned economy. But, I cannot say exactly, but I will say 2 or 3 times less than they could be under a regime of Soviet democracy. 35. In his work, The Revolution Betrayed, What is the Soviet Union and Where is it Going?, Trotsky argued that the excessive authoritarianism under Stalin had undermined the implementation of the first 5-year plan. He noted that several engineers and economists who had created the plan were themselves later put on trial as conscious wreckers who had acted on the instructions of a foreign power. 36. See also, edit. Calculation in kind. Council democracy. Cybernetics. Decentralized planning, economics. Dirigism. Economic democracy. Econometrics. Enterprise resource planning. Indicative planning. Industrial policy. Input-output planning. Material product system. Material balance planning. Mixed economy. Non-market forces. Participatory planning. Peer-to-peer economy. Planned economy. Socialist calculation debate. Socialization, economics. Socialist economics. Soviet-type economic planning. The use of knowledge in society. Why Socialism? An article written by Albert Einstein, which presented a critique of modern capitalism and advocated for a planned economy. Notes, edit. 1 Vara A. 2008, Planning. In Palgrave Macmillan, eds, The New Palgrave Dictionary of Economics. Palgrave Macmillan. London. 2 Mandel, Ernest, September-October 1986. In Defense of Socialist Planning. New Left Review. I. 159 537. See also the PDF version. 3 Gregory, Paul R. Stewart, Robert C. 2003. Comparing Economic Systems in the 21st Century. Boston, Houghton. Mifflin. pp. 23-24. ISBN 978-0-618-26181-9. 4 Aleknov, 1987. Planned Economy. The New Palgrave, A Dictionary of Economics. Volume 3. pp. 879-880. 5 Nielsen K. 2008, Indicative Planning. In Palgrave Macmillan, eds, The New Palgrave Dictionary of Economics. Palgrave Macmillan, London. 6 Ellman, Michael, 1989. Socialist Planning. Cambridge University Press. p. 25. ISBN 978-0-521-35866-8. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 7 Bachmann, Johanna, 2011. Markets in the Name of Socialism, The Left-Wing Origins of Neoliberalism. Stanford University Press. p. 35. ISBN 978-0-8047-7566-3. 8 Schweikart, David, Lawler, James, Tigton, Hillel, Ullman, Bert L., 1998. Definitions of Market and Socialism. Market. Socialism, The Debate Among Socialists. New York, Routledge. pp. 58-59. ISBN 978-0-415-91967-8. 9. Socialism, Utopian and Scientific. Marxists.org. 10. Einstein, Albert, May 1949. Why Socialism? Monthly Review. 11. A. B. Wilhelm, John Howard, 1985. The Soviet Union has an administered, not a planned, economy. Soviet Studies. 37, 1. 118130. Do. 10.10008966813850841157 12. Dowler, Abu F. 1992. Theoretical Expositions of Centralized versus Decentralized Strands of Socialist Economic Systems. International Journal of Social Economics. 19, 7/8/9210258 do. 10.100108/EUM0000000000497. 13. Monches, J. M. 1959. Planning with Material Balances in Soviet-Type Economies. American Economic Review. 49, 5963. 985 18130077. 14. J. Bradford DeLong, 1997. The Corporation as a Command Economy, PDF. UC Berkeley and National Bureau of Economic Research. Archived from the original, PDF, on the 18th of April, 2016. Retrieved the 27th of May, 2013. 15. Galbraith, John K. 2007, 1967. The New Industrial State. Princeton, New Jersey, Princeton University Press. ISBN 9780691131412. For the abridged version, see Part I, The History and Nature of the New Industrial State, 1972. 16. Marx and Engels Selected Works, Lawrence and Wishart, 1968, p. 40. Capitalist Property Relations put a fetter on the productive forces. 17. Marx, Karl. Capital, Volume I. From Chapter 32, Historical Tendency of Capitalist Accumulation. 18. UNCTAD, UNIDO, 2011. Economic Development in Africa Report 2011, Fostering Industrial Development in Africa in the New Global Environment, PDF. United Nations. p. 34. Retrieved the 27th of August, 2012. 19. A. B. Twiss, Thomas M. The 8th of May, 2014. Trotsky and the Problem of Soviet Bureaucracy. Brill. pp. 88113. ISBN 978-90-04. 26953-8. 20. Van Ree, Eric, 1998. Socialism in One Country, A Reassessment. Studies in East European Thought. 50, 277-117. Do. 10.1023/10086513251336. ISSN 0925-9392. JSTA 20099669. 21. P. B. Baltz, N. J. Smolser. The 21st of November, 2001. International Encyclopedia of Social and Behavioral Sciences. Pergamon. pp. 11,483 to 11,485. ISBN 9780080430768. Under Stalin and his successors, Central Soviet economic planning was organized hierarchically. The top state planning agency, Gosplan, established the target rate of national economic growth and the allocation of production across industrial sectors and geographic regions. This overall national plan was then broken down by various ministries into directives assigned to local economic units. Finally, managers and engineers at the factory or farm level were required to implement particular instructions. 22-Day, Richard B. 1973. Leon Trotsky and the Politics of Economic Isolation. Cambridge University Press. p. 109. ISBN 978-0. 521-52436-0. 23-Deutscherer, Isaac, 1965. The Prophet Unarmed, Trotsky, 1921–1929. New York, Vintage Books. p. 468. ISBN 978-0-394. 70747-1. 24-Rogovin, Vadim Zakharovic, 2021. Was There an Alternative? Trotskyism, A Look Back Through the Years. Mehring Books. pp. 4045. ISBN 978-1-893638-97-6. 25 Fitzpatrick, Sheila, the 22nd of April, 2010. The Old Man. London Review of Books. 32, 8. ISSN 0260-9592. 26 Daniels, Robert V. November, 2002. The End of the Communist Revolution. Routledge. pp. 1992. ISBN 978-1-134-92607. 7. 27 Tahara, Glenn, 2007. From Dreams to Disillusionment, Economic and Social Planning in 1960s Britain. Palgrave Macmillan. See also the PDF version. 28 Rockoff, Hugh, 2010. U.S. Economy in World War I. Archived 17 March, 2010 at the Wayback Machine. 29 Zia, Herbert J. Jr. 1990. The Federal Funding of R&D, Who Gets the Patent Rights? JOM. 42, 469. Bibcode, 1990 JOM, 42D69Z. Do. 10.1007/BF032209030. S2 SID 182786220. 30 Chomsky, Noam, the 18th of May, 2005. State and Corp. ZNet. Z Communications. Archived from the original on the 12th of October, 2012. 31 Mazzucato, Mariana, the 25th of June, 2013. The Myth of the Meddling State. Public Finance International. Retrieved 5 January, 2014. 32 Hayek, Friedrich, September, 1945. The Use of Knowledge in Society. The American Economic Review. 35, 4519530. JSTA 1809376. See the full text. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 33 PB Baltz, N.J. Smolsa. The 21st of November, 2001. International Encyclopedia of Social and Behavioral Sciences. Pergamon. pp. 11483 to 11485. ISBN 9780080430768. Critics argue that the Soviet planned economy failed for two main reasons. The first is inadequate information. Very early on, the free market economists Ludwig von Mises and Friedrich Hayek insisted that a socialist system was doomed to fail because central economic planners, lacking the price signals of a market system, would be unable to obtain the information required to promote economic efficiency. Von Mises 1935, Hayek 1948. In fact, economic planners in the communist world, as Polish economist Oskar Lang anticipated in an important 1938 analysis of socialism, were often able to gain much of the information they needed by monitoring changes in plant inventory levels. 34 Trotsky, Leon. Writings of Leon Trotsky, 1932-33. p. 96. 35 Woods, Alan, Grant, Ted, 1976. Lenin and Trotsky: What They Really Stood For. Well-read books. pp. 51-51. 36 Trotsky, Leon, 1991. The Revolution Betrayed: What is the Soviet Union and Where Is It Going? Mehring Books. p. 28. ISBN 978-0-929087-48-1. Categories: Economic Planning, Socialism, Economic Ideologies, Economic Systems. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF.